Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Contactlost, our mini-series focusing on the WTC Round Zero pairings, where tonight I'm hosting Joseph from Team Ireland.
Hello.
And Xandre and Terroxer from Team Spain.
Hello, good night.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. And before we begin, obviously, I must say thank you to our sponsors, Weyland-Yutani and the Army Painter, as well as our community of patrons. Now let's get going. So starting from last year's event, Xandre, Terroxer, Spain was the top seed 2 team, we want to say. You finished 7th, pop into seed 1 this year. So what do you think about last year's results? Are you happy with them, or did you want to be even higher?
Well, I was coach past year, and Terroxer was a player, so maybe he can speak about his experience as a player if he think that his results could be better or whatever. About the team, I think that even if we were in the second group of teams, actually for size, for the size of the Warhammer 40k community here, and the strong team events culture we have in Spain. You know that we have the largest team event in the world, that's Talavera. We always hope to be top 5. Actually, I think that for us, top 5 is the target of WTC.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I have to say, no, we are not really happy with that 7th spot. Actually, I think that should be. I don't know how do you say it, Terroxer?
So,
as a player.
Well, as you said, was could be better, of course, but the reality of the things is last year was very hard because a new edition is a thing that is so strong for all the players to be prepared to take the list, etc. So there is a lot of points that we can talk about, and I think last year was totally crazy. And I'm with you, Xandre. I think our country is prepared to get the top 5, so could be our goal, I guess. Yes.
Excellent. Loving it. Ambitious right from the start. Joseph, what about Ireland? You finished 25th, I've just checked, last year. So probably also, just like our friends from Spain here, not necessarily happy with the result, I assume?
Yeah, it's a proverbial punch in the face to remind me of the terrible result in some ways. My first year as captain, I led us to 25th place. Listen, it wasn't great. We've been on a 3-year journey to rebuild the team. So during COVID, all of our veterans left, apart from 3, and only 2 played in 2022. So 2023, we had a lot of new players. And we also were, in my view, transitioning to the changes that we had back then with the edition was, even though personally, I took Eldar, so I was just, 5th top scorer. As a team, we didn't do as well. And I had an allergy to TTS. Hate. I forced myself. I take my summer holiday every year around the end of June and the start of July because my boyfriend is American. I go over there. So last year I just disappeared. I tried to do calls and stuff. But anyway, this year I forced myself to get on TTS in order to prepare and to show the team that we can do it. So really, listen, I'm bigging up the disaster. Look, we weren't happy with 25th. We had a lot of close rounds. If you look back, we narrowly lost to Scotland. We narrowly lost against some other teams. We had a couple slip-ups. It felt like we had a theory for how we wanted to approach the change, but we didn't really test it that rigorously. And we also didn't take part in as many international events because our communities, as I said, we were rebuilding, so we were just less structured. In 2022, we only had 8 people applying. Last year, we had around 14 people applying. This year, it's 30. So it's totally changed. And we've done a lot more preparation, we hope, and we think, although I notice my list, because lists are now released, I'm the only one taking 3 doom sides. So we've either got it dramatically wrong, or, our theory is going to hopefully come good and we can do. We'd like to finish in the top third. That's really where we see ourselves, and we want to try and get back to that kind of level where, we're the sort of team that could upset a big team, but not necessarily expected to, but could do. Whereas if you finish 25th, you're just not expected to do that.
Right. So, do you want to mention a bit about team selection now that you've touched upon it already? What was the process then? And well, you've mentioned you've had 30 candidates, right?
Yeah, 30 candidates. So it's been a rebuilding exercise because the community, even though we're a small island, is pretty fragmented. And WTC actually had a very bad reputation in the community as being full of sort of really sharp, uber competitive people that were absolutely no crack, just not fun people to be around. And so we had to both rebuild the team, but also rebuild interest in the format. We didn't have, until last year or 2 years ago, we didn't have a WTC terrain event, right? Let alone get 50 people to an event. Now our community is in a different place where people see WTC as somewhere that is something to aim for if you want to be competitive. So what we've tried to do is create a culture where you can apply for the team just to be part of what we're discussing, let alone try out. So of those 30, a bunch of people, you could say, listen, I just want to be part of the Discord. Nothing more than that. Some people say, I'm happy to help you out in TTS. So some of our new players last year can't play this year, and so they're TTS partners. And then, we also then had, really that first 30 was cut to a squad at the start of this year. So we kind of cut that down to around 14, 15 people who were actually dedicated to trying out. And we put them through TTS scrims against a bunch of countries. And that kind of really took us to Nations in April. So that period, January to April, was we named 4 people to the team. So we named half the team before the Nations event, which most people listening will know is an event held every year between 6 home nations and 2 invited teams. And so going into Nations, I had a team of 6 people, all of whom hadn't been selected, trying out for 4 spots. Very competitive, but also people still communicating. So what I try to do is build both, it's competitive, but also we're a team. So you'll be marked down if you don't help people who are also applying to be on the team. I wanted to start the culture from day one that we're all in this together. And if one person falls down, then that's how we end up 25th. We need to be all together, rowing in the same direction, whether you're playing or not. So that's kind of the culture that we've tried to promote. And so it was in April that I named the team. At the end of April, it took me a while to parse through a couple of the final spots and some of the final decisions.
Okay. Yeah, and it's an interesting point because in my community, local community, WTC also wasn't very popular, or actually still isn't. And then I went to the event last year and was, well, maybe not surprised, but still maybe a little bit that it's like at the tables, it's so much more relaxed than my local events. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's also, I think there's this idea that if you play on like WTC terrain, you're automatically importing a set of principles and values that a lot of casual players are like, well, no. What we try to say is that if you have, it doesn't need to be WTC, but we didn't have like standard layouts in RTTs. Like you would just turn up and there would be a rock, or there might be a couple of buildings. And we tried to promote
2013.
Right, like we tried to promote the idea that even terrain layout maps, even if you don't have the most dense terrain, just help players to navigate an event and not have a bad experience. And we've tried to promote that idea that whether it's competitive or WTC or not, it's about a standard rule set that helps you play and enjoy the game more, not be a dickhead because you want to win so bad at Toy Soldiers.
Yeah, 100%. Right, Xandre, does having the biggest team event in the world translate to the largest amount of candidates for the national team?
Well, I can't say that because for sure France should be the largest amount of candidates, as its whole system are candidates, and they are more than 1,000. So they are the largest for sure. But I would say that what for us, what is important is that there was if we went back to maybe 2019 backwards, our situation were not so different as Ireland in the sense of WTC has been always seen as very competitive in the bad way of the word. So I'm not
win at
going
all
into that.
costs, kind of vibe.
Yes, that's it. The old ETC, let's say the old ETC, no? And then we have this change thanks to Talavera, actually, that was that this big team event began to use WTC layouts. And I think that that was a change in the mindset of every player here, because the I don't know, 80% of teams are just playing for fun. They are not playing for going to WTC, and they play for fun. And they found that that having WTC, I don't know if rules, but for sure terrain is a good thing. It's a good thing for the team events system. So after that change, I think that the WTC changed its image. And the other change for getting a lot of candidates was thanks to the former captain of the team, Draven, that he installed a ranking. So these are the two important reasons for to have a lot of candidates now. It's for one side that WTC is not seen as something bad, because it's the system of the largest and funniest, and it's only for fun, for celebrate the hobby event here each year. And another smallest or small ones that, well, small, we have our small events are of 120, 180, 150 players. And then we have, those are the
Small
smalls.
events.
Yes, compared
Okay.
with Talavera, that is like the big the big moment of the year. And they are, many of them, using WTC. If they are teams, if they are singles, not, but if they are teams, they use WTC. And the other thing is this ranking that, thanks to Draven, we have from since past year. This was a big change. For why? Because until that moment, everyone in the community who was interested in WTC maybe have this this impression, or this idea, that the captain was choosing only players that he knows close to him. Well, this is typical in every country. This criticism about how the selection of players is done. And this change was very important, because after using a ranking, using BCP, ranking with lots of events, we have the same two top players that they form a team with the captain, and it was more or less the same team as the previous year. This year we have the same team, only one player change from past year. Two players, thanks Terroxer, 2 players, 2 out of 8, right? But that's a very small change. If we think that we remove the old style of, let's say, selection by finger to selection by results. And that was another, it's like this change of using WTC in Talavera. It's a change to say, hey, this is not bad. When the captains chose people, they were looking for the best people they knew. And now that we have the ranking, is a good thing, because we can see numbers, but more or less is the same. So I think that was a good I don't know the word in English. Do you know, Terroxer, lavado de cara? It's I don't
Clean
know how to
appearance. I don't know.
yeah, to Joseph, when you do something to appear to be nicer, in fact, because you are nicer. I don't know if you have a word for that. But that is the thing, that now WTC is not seen as something bad for these two reasons. So we have a big pool of candidates, Joker. We have a big pool. How many of them is difficult to say, because there are people in the rankings that they are not actually candidates, in the sense that if they are the 328th, I don't know if they are a candidate, but they are there.
Okay, so how do you narrow it down? Do people need to send in an application or something to, or give us some detail about the process?
we actually do as a fact that if you are playing a lot of team events and you are in the ranking, that's not optional. You are in the ranking for sure if you are playing team events and actually single events, but you need to play at least two big team events. If you are doing that, you are possibly interested in WTC. So the first two players of the ranking this year have the ability to choose the rest of the candidates using the help of the captain. In the case of the next year, there will be a pool of the first 16 of the ranking to be how many of them are the eighth to go to the team. But we actually, I don't know, Terroxer, if you know, if there is some player that can be top 16 that he is not actually interested on going with Team Spain.
I don't think so. Probably everyone wants to join us.
Yeah. So we don't have a pool of candidates because we do as a, or we know as a fact that every player who is in the ranking is a candidate, and they want to be there.
Okay, that's an interesting take. So not as structured, I would say, as some people have it. Right. And at which point in time did you narrow it down to the 8 players that you have playing for the team?
In our case, at the end of December, beginning of January is when the process is done. So the team can be formed by February, more or less. So we have this year, this is new. Until not so many years, the team was formed, or the last picks for the team were picked maybe May or something like that. In this case, now we have had 6 months of full preparation from February to August.
Okay, so you picked the team quite early compared to others, it sounds like. Right, Joseph, back to you. Any events under the national flag? I mean, I know you've played nations, but was there anything else, and how did they go? And whether any other forms of training involved?
You're really kind of putting me on the spot, huh? Because we went to Eurotrash and finished last. We went to Nations and finished third, where we beat Belgium.
That one better.
To England. I mean, at Pyro, it was obviously sort of behind the scenes event, and that was a United Ireland team, so not the same thing. Eurotrash happened back in March, so this was still part of the process. You know, unlike the democracy in Spain, I rule an iron fist in Ireland, and it's totally my picks. So I indulge in total nepotism. No, we put the players, you know, Eurotrash, because of when it happened in March. I made the decision. It was better to go and expose players to the team format, 3 people for the very first time, than it was to go and do well for the sake of doing well. Nations, however, was both a choice of, we wanted to do well to get the morale of the team to a place where they knew they could succeed. I could see the improvements that were happening, but it's another thing for people to see the results. And Nations was a kind of a combination of that. We just finished a boot camp last weekend where we had quite a few people, around 8 to 10 of us were gathered at a university here in Dublin, trying out, you know, we know the pods now, so we timed the boot camp to happen after the pod stage because we wanted to focus on that. And we have our old enemy, England, lying in wait for us on the final match on Friday. Hopefully we can avenge 700 years of subjugation, and also to correct the record, because my team tell me England have been trying to play mind games on 40K podcast and are claiming we beat them at Nations in order to try and seem like the underdogs. We all know everyone wants Ireland.
They are saying that. Even I was led to believe that, yeah.
Right, exactly. They're trying to fool you, Joker, but don't fall for it. England are trying to play mind games. They're at it again. So let's not have any of that nonsense. Although we scared them at Nations, they still won, so they can't pretend they're underdogs. So that's kind of, and then, as I said, we've been doing lots of practice internally within the team. But one of the benefits of having the wider squad I talked about is that we have people playing those games who aren't kind of tied to one of our lists, right? They're players that are interested, but they can like really go for it and put us under pressure. So we've been trying to test into various lists, and also, the edition change. Oh, sorry, the rules, the balanced data slate, and some of the changes were, big. But we know this is always going to happen now. It's a feature of WTC, no longer a bug. And there's an element of, can some of the best players or most, stupid people in the world who decide to throw their summers into this game. Anyway, one of the two, take your pick or both, can they come up with a formula that works? We have a theory, happy to talk about that after WTC. We do have a theory about how we're approaching the game this time round. I think that last year, if I'm honest with myself, I was very proud of the team, but I did not have a clear idea of what I was doing. I was still learning how to be captain, how to captain both the coaching staff. This year we've got 4 coaches. Last year we had 2. Then the 8 people that are playing. And so there's all the dynamics, right, of just the nuts and bolts of getting people there. But also, what are you trying to do as a team? But then there's also the element of me, which is thinking that this is an experience a lot of people commit a lot of time, money, and effort to. So how do I make it a rewarding experience to be part of this, regardless of our result? So that the people going, the 12 of us that are traveling, really take something away from it and think that was a great experience, regardless, again, of how we finish. So for me, it operates on a couple different levels. There's preparing for the event, which, I've described through, Eurotrash, which was hard in some ways, but it was good for the team to experience the kind of coal face of team format. Then there was Nations, which we did quite well in, but we can't be complacent because a lot of these teams were doing what we were doing, which is trying people out. These aren't the final teams. We sent a couple people to Pyra in Poland, which is very useful. We couldn't field a full team because some of us, like me, were away on holiday. And then TTS, despite my initial loathing of it, which then I hyped up just to say I was one of those people that didn't like TTS. Now I realize it is a very useful tool. I will still admit, though, I do not see the game the same way on TTS as in person. I don't know what it is. I just find it very difficult to translate how I'm on the table to how I am on TTS. And it turns out that because I've been more active on TTS and showing the leadership to do it, a couple of my other players have stuck their hands up and said, also, by the way, I struggle with TTS versus in person. There's only a couple of us that do. Quite a lot of people on TTS almost prefer it because they're there with those arrows and measuring all these little angles and all these kind of things, which drives me insane. I go have a shower, brush my teeth, come back, and they're still measuring little angles, right? It's also created. The fact is that we know this about each other now, right? So we can laugh and we can joke about these things. So it's been a process of building the team up, not just in terms of preparing for the event, but building that team dynamic so that we can get through what will be, your Saturday, you're underslept, you haven't eaten, you may have had a bad result, but you've got to rally. Otherwise, a team can fracture.
Right.
Let me, Joker, please make a statement about England Minds games. That we in Spain will always stand together with our all good brothers from Ireland in any fight versus England.
Excellent.
Always.
That's it. England, we're all coming for you.
Yeah, I was thinking that today is really a pair that dislikes England. That it's not coming home, and we'll be throwing shade at them here. So yeah, happy you're all joining in on that.
They always gas
Right,
it. Listen, England get close, but they can never close the deal. It's because they spend too much time trying to do mind games and not enough time practicing.
Exactly. Too much in their heads, and they bottle at the end. Right. Terroxer, what about Spain? Did you manage to attend any international events as Team Spain, or nothing of the sort?
They don't need to. They have basically like 8 international events every month by the sounds of it. I can barely get 50 people to one event, let alone 150 to a small event.
That's more or less true. So the thing here is for us, will be fantastic if we can go outside to play a lot of events, really good events like in Poland or in Germany also, because there are tournaments where a lot of countries goes and you know the people, what are they playing, how they, what are they doing with the armies, etc. So that's very important for us. But sadly, we don't can afford this. For us, it's very difficult. So we try to play as much as we can in TTS. So, for example, we play at the World Master that they organize in the TTS of Germany, you know, and some others that we organize here in Spain, but it's a little bit quite less level than these ones, for example. So there is a point that, as Joseph said, here in Spain we play a lot of team events. So probably almost 80% of the tournaments here in Spain are for teams, and and responding the question that you did before, in Spain there is a WTC is like the way to play because team seven are the easiest way, and the organizer of the tournament is for they are more easy. It's easier. Just take these tables that are prepared and let's go to play. They don't have to think about what table we are using. They are just done. So that's an important point there. Anyway, for there is, for in my point of view, there is like two steps of preparation for this big event. So the first one is just before we take the last update of change in the game. So this is a time to be more prepared like a team. So just join your companions, know how they do the play, know what army they like to play, trying to do little things with them just to know them a little bit more because the rules will change and more or less everything you will play there will be more or less useful in terms on rules finally. So there is the other point that the start there when the last rules are out that it's totally changed because before that you can do screens with other countries, you can practice whatever, but in this last month there is zero contact with other countries. It's like, oh man, secrets there with the list, etc. So there is the point where everyone has to be prepared. There is a lot of teamwork also, but finally it's a game where two peoples play and you have to know how to play against every other army. So every player has to be prepared for that, and it's a lot of work that everyone has to do. So I think we have to and we want to because every country wants to be the more prepared because in your country probably a lot of people wants to go to and they are interested in what are we doing. So it's important to be good prepared and show our best there, I guess.
And about going to international events, in some way, I think that we in Spain are almost in an island because the distances are very long. When you have an event, for example, in Germany, a lot of people can go by road from Poland, Netherlands, Belgium, France, Austria, etc. But maybe even from the islands, they have the low cost lines to go to
Ryanair,
some of
baby.
yeah, for example, in Ireland, for example. But we only have this low cost from Spain to Dublin or to London or to so that's like the way back from the beach to the to the town for the British. So for us, going to all these events, for example, in Germany or Netherlands, for us is a trip of 300 euros by
At
plane.
least.
At least, I mean, only the travel. And when we are going to one of our 180 or 160 players events here in Valencia, Santiago, Bermeo, different cities here, no? Obviously Talavera, they are only, or Sevilla, they are only trips usually of 50, 60 euros the cost of going there by road. That's the same cost that I think that for many international players for these events in the center of Europe. So for us, that's a problem during the year to go to this. Maybe someday if we keep having sponsors like this year, maybe someday we can at least go to one. I think it will be very, very interesting. But so far, that's the problem, the distance.
Okay, I see. So, anything else you've been doing, like any TTS screams, any boot camps, that sort of stuff?
Yes, regarding screams, I have the great luck of having a coaching team of 5 people, and one of them, Freddy, has been occupied doing these screams, and we had screams versus Czech Republic, Switzerland, Terroxer, help me out,
Bulgaria,
Bulgaria, right? We have a couple of them with Germany and England that just the balance update and the prior balance update were there in the middle of the dates that we were going to use. So always with TTS and boot camps. We have done 2 boot camps. This weekend is the 3rd one. That if you think if having the team in February, we could have done more boot camps. But actually, as Terroxer said, when the preparations speed up is now. Now is the moment in which you know the real rules that we are going to use, the real factions we are going to use. So this is the moment. We have 1 in May and now 2 in July. So.
All right. So a very strong final push.
Yes.
Right. Joseph, could you introduce the players of Team Ireland, say a word or two about them? And obviously, you can mention the factions they're playing now that lists are live.
Yeah. Okay. So Colin Power is my vice captain, and he's introduced a very data-driven approach. I haven't talked about that a lot, but he's really structured our practice and our results so that we can spot our gaps. So Colin rides shotgun with me through the whole year, and he's playing Eldar. Very good player who represented Ireland at the World Championship of Warhammer in Atlanta last year and did reasonably well. Dana Hearn is one of our few veterans who has been to as many ETCs almost as Tom has at this stage. And he's playing CSM. Pierce Condren was captain 2 years ago, good friend of mine, recently attacked by a seagull, of all things, which will make sense to some people listening. He was literally attacked by a seagull. He's fine, but it was quite a comical injury.
Not that fine from what I've seen under the
Yeah,
story.
right. He's fine. He's fine. He's not going to live down the seagull attack, though. He is playing Thousand Suns, very good Thousand Suns player. He's played Death Guard T Suns for a long time. Tom Marr is second year playing, and they are playing Tau, which is a good fit for them. Mike McCarthy is a new player this year. We've known him in our local scene for a little while, and he's playing our Blood Angels. Sam Nash he lives in England, but I mean, part of Ireland's story is, people, and families who left Ireland and the Great Emigration. So we've really tried to be inclusive of people who weren't born here or have parents from here. And Sam is one of our expat players. And he is playing Grey Knights. And Peter Dunley is now one of our veterans, someone with 3 years experience, and he is playing Sisters. And then you have me on Hypercrypt Necrons. And this will be my 3rd WTC now. And that's a lot. And then I have 4 coaches. I just want to give them a quick shout out. So Alec Cornelius is our head coach, and he played 2 years ago, 2022, but has been coached last year and then this year. And he's a great help. He's a bit of a table guru, as it happens. And then we have 3 other coaches. Charles Gould, who tried out for the team, and I was so close to picking him. Very, very, very good player, and he is on our coaching staff. Sean Murray is coming along. He's really helping me with a lot of the logistics and the kind of nuts and bolts of model approvals, because Lord J, you do not make it easy. And so all of that stuff, has to be done. And then Peter Scott, who is one of the kind of disappearing like through the curtain of post-COVID. This is one of the veterans that disappeared like 6 years ago because he had children, or 10 years ago, and is now kind of coming back. And so he's going to War Masters and staying on to support the team. So it'd be great to have a veteran of that experience kicking around. And that's the Traveling 12. That's the troop.
All right. And I think you've mentioned that, but what's the target expectation for this year other than beating England in the pod?
Listen, if we beat England in the pod, the hall will go wild. With it won't just be us.
WTC
Will be there.
ends there. That's
the whole WTC will go crazy if we manage to do that. So,
totally.
But I think realistically, if we can, and I'm not taking anyone for granted. I think to get into that top third, you need to win more than you lose. You need to win 4 games. Like, I think to get into that like top 15-ish, which is because the 44 teams this year, to get into the top third, I think you need to win 4 games. And that means like if you win 1 or 2 in your pod stage, then you're into what I call that sweaty half, those 4 games, depending when you win your games, that gets harder and harder. So for us, if we can win 4 games out of the 7, I think we'll get to that top third, which we want to be in. And then if we can do anything over and above that, we'll be delighted. In 2022, we finished 12th when it was smaller. So I think finishing 15th is about, where we, that's our expectation. We'd obviously love to do better, but, so would everyone. Not everyone can. So we've got to be realistic about what we can achieve.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, just skimming through last year's results, 4 wins should guarantee a top 15 finish.
This is what we're hoping for. I mean, we know it's going to be hard because, Pariah does play differently to how Leviathan did. I think the way you get big results has changed. And so we're just going to have to see whether or not we can create the differentials in some rounds. But a lot of this is going to come down to, we've made some spicy choices in terms of our lists. And I think several countries have, right? So, those bets are either going to pay off for us or they're going to cost us. And so that's part of the joy of the hunt of getting involved in this crazy thing. And we took the view that kind of go big or go home a little bit, make some calls. We could do the safe thing of lifting 8 different lists off the internet that were doing okay. We haven't done that. Some of our lists do look kind of typical for what you might see. And then we have, I think, 1 or 2 lists which look, particularly my Necron list looks wildly different to any other Necron list that we see at the event. And so we're just going to have to see whether those gambles kind of pay off.
I'm pretty sure that each team has at least one list that has all the others scratching their heads like, what? Why are they taking this? What's the point?
Yes.
So I think in that regard, this is one of the more interesting events that we've ever had. Right, Xandre, Terroxer, for Team Spain, who's on the team?
Okay, who's on the team? We have Gonzalo de la Moneda Raven. He plays Chaos Demons. He played Chaos Demons past year. He's not actually a specialist mono faction player, but he found this year, as past year, that it's a good faction. And we have a Marco Esteban that he coming back again with us, and Marco is back again with us. Marco was past year,
Yes.
and Marco is a specialist Tyrannid player. Past year he played cults. Typical player who plays Genestealer cults or Tyrannids, in this case, Tyrannids. Jorge Feijó, alias Giorgio. Jorge Feijó, he's playing Sororitas, Sisters, but a special Sororitas list, not as any of the rest, because we have Exorcists. What more? Manu Hill. He played past year with Eldari, and this year he's playing Drukhari. He played Inari past year, so he's getting rid of Ibrain, the tax out, and Eldari, and he's playing Drukhari. Roger Boira, Odro, he is a specialist player of Tau Empire, and Astra Militarum. Past year he was there with his 11 indirect fire units or something like that. And this year he's playing Tau. Mancuso, that he is known in BCP internationally as Serrano as well. Hello, Serrano. And Mancuso Serrano, that he usually plays Blood Angels, but this time he will play Grey Knights. And this is because Guille Palacios, that he is a newcomer in the team. Guille, he is a very good player of Space Marines and many other factions, but Space Marines, and he will play Dark Angels, not Sons of Sanguinius, but Dark Angels. So the spot of Space Marines is going to be occupied by him. And Terroxer, for sure. Terroxer is a legend in the Thousand Sons international community, so he will be here with us. Playing Thousand Sons, obviously. Yes.
Right, perfect. And again, you're aiming for the top 5, right? Is the target?
Yes. I think that we should aim for the top 5, and then we'll see. But we have to aim for the top 5. If not, we would just saying that it's okay to be there in your place, and that's okay. And no, we have to try something more. Try to push to the top 5. I think that the difference between each team in the top 5 are very narrow. Are not big at all. You can be 4th or 1st for maybe 2 games in the whole WTC. So to single games, I mean. So for that, I think that we should fight for that. We should fight for being there with USA, Poland, England, France, Germany, Australia. We have to be there. And well, let's see then.
Yes. Well, I think so. We have enough level to can play again every single country, I guess. For example, last year we get the draw against England, and we can do it with any other country more or less fine. So I think we are there. Any other country has to be prepared against us because we are prepared to do our best, and we can win everyone, I guess. So top 5 should be fine for us, I guess.
Okay, perfect. Right, Joseph, I know you're running out of time, so I have to throw in the comedy relief question now. National dishes is what we're discussing this year, and according to Google, the national dish of Ireland is an Irish stew. Would you confirm this statement, and is it the best dish in the world?
Is it the best dish in the world? In my opinion, probably not, if I'm being totally honest. There are a couple different dishes. I mean, I think for the sake of this, listen, a bag of Tato crisps, cheese and onion would be, almost top of snacks that would get there in terms of an Irish meal. But no, listen, look, an Irish stew is great. It's summer. For Ireland, it's hot. My window here is open, even though it's 20 degrees for us. It's absolutely boiling. So it's not Irish stew weather right now. But I can tell you, it's the best stew in the world. It may not be the best dish in the world, but you're going to find no better stew than an Irish stew for that. That's for damn sure.
Okay. So some strong words actually there, right?
Facts, not words. They're facts, Joe.
Okay.
That's just how it is.
You're insisting. Right, and for Spain, I've got the national dish as a rice paella, and I'm probably saying that horribly wrong.
Well, we have so many national dishes, right? Terroxer, that I don't know. For me, today, for example, in Wednesday, I have been having the lunch in the beach, in a chiringuito near the sea. And what I ordered was 2 jars of 1.5 liters of sangria. So for me, that's the national dish. Terroxer, I don't know if you put another dish there.
Well, I think paella is the most famous one here because everyone that comes to Spain go to the beach, and there is the most typical. So, but actually, we have a lot of this. You can go every single part of the Spain. They have their own, and everyone are fantastic. So I recommend you just go all the parts of Spain that you can because you will eat like no way.
Tortilla,
Okay.
For example.
for example.
Okay. Right. So Joseph, do you want to stay on, or are you?
Yeah, we can stay
do
on
you
for a
need to
bit.
drop?
No, we can stay on for a bit.
Okay. Well, moving on then, I've got a question that is a thing of the past more often, I think. So, there's also a singles event just before the WTC, and a lot of countries take different approaches to this. I know, at least in Poland, there was a time where it was mandatory for newcomers, for example, to like face some high-skilled players and get some reps in with your list, to then being something that was like well, almost forbidden, that no, we're not showing off any tech or how we play this, etc., etc. Do you have any specific approach to the singles event?
So we have a policy that you need to get approval from the captain to play in the event if you're on the team, and there's a consultation. Then your list, the captain has a power of veto over the list that you take to War Master. And in this case, I mean, because it's public knowledge, Peter and Pierce on my team, our Thousand Sons and Sisters player, are both playing in the event, and both are bringing their WTC lists. In this case, if you looked at their lists, I don't think you'd be absolutely shocked by what's in either list. There's some interesting choices, but I don't think it's not so unique that you would, send Sean Naden over to look and see what's happening here. Kind of thing. So I've taken the view this year that it's better for our players to get the reps in and to get practice in, but also, and this is not a huge surprise either, they're going for a bit of social scene, a little bit of getting some extra reps, and they may decide, because a lot of players do drop out in those final 2 rounds. They may decide, what, we've played 3 or 4 games, that's enough for us. I don't think either is going with necessarily the intention of trying to kind of do what Liam Hackett did, a year or 2 ago, where he sort of won the singles and thingy. But as a team, we don't send a big presence to War Masters in general. I think, a lot of people find it quite tiring. And I advise players, to be honest, not to do it, particularly if they're relatively new to WTC, or if, a couple of players, if they were tired last year playing 7 WTC games, do not go play War Master before. That's not going to help you at all. So, and I've never played in the event myself, but yeah, we've only got 2 of our 8 playing. A couple of our coaches are playing. I think 2 of our coaches are playing. Which I think is quite a good way to do it. Some of your coaches and some of our players who are coaching, actually 3 of our coaches are playing. And so 2 of those are probably candidates next year, Sean and Charles in particular. So I think I like the idea that people who are coaches play in the War Master, stay on, support the team. And that sends a really strong signal, I think, if they apply next year, that they're committed to the team, not just their own results.
Sure. Yeah, 100%. Xandre, what about Team Spain's approach to the War Masters event?
Similar situation about the coaches playing. There are several coaches that they are going to play War Master and then staying to support the team. And about the players, it's a free decision of each player. But past year, as the edition was new, all the players were told to play. To try to play and take some experience with the new edition on that. Some of them played all the games, another maybe 3-4 games, something like that, then drop, but something to get more experience with their list. This year is very different. The edition is more mature. So in this case, they are not going to play any of the players in the World Master. We have the coaches playing, but the players are focused on WTC 100%.
Okay. Right, understood. So it's still a thing sometimes to not play the singles event. Okay, guys. Last question. What do you think of the new edition? I think Joseph, you even called it a new edition at some point here. And it pretty much feels like it. So what do you think of it? Do you like the changes? Any favorite change in particular, maybe?
So I like that they brought back the indirect nerf to only hitting a 4-up. Like, thank goodness they did that. I mean, it's one of those changes that they made a year and a half ago and decided to take away and then put back. I actually think the game is in a pretty healthy state. I think some of these skews that you used to see or ridiculous death balls, like those have declined a lot. Not to say they've totally disappeared, but they've kind of declined. And as a result, I think that player skill is a lot more important in this edition, this kind of rebooted kind of edition, almost, because it does feel like a reboot. And so I think knowing your matches, so it's because of its balance, and I think, okay, they've got a few things like the GSC Codex was a bit of a flop. I think that the only faction not represented at WTC, that tells you something. The Sisters Codex, that's, it's still spicy. But anyway, I think broadly speaking, it's a lot more balanced. It puts a lot more emphasis on player skill, which is kind of what WTC is meant to be about anyway, rather than sort of me turning up with a ridiculous list last year like most Eldar players. And I think I played one game where I lost 2 Wart Spider models, and that was it. And that happened twice. Like, it was just bananas. So I'm really quite happy with where the edition is, and it also means we've had to think a lot harder about the lists we're putting up. And you can see, yes, there's player differences, but the composition of Team Spain is totally different from Team Ireland. But the composition of Team America is totally different from Team Spain. And so there seems to be this kind of, what it has introduced, I think it's great, is this nexus of player skill, faction expertise, and also what you're trying to do in pairing. So I think it's up the skill cap. So I'm really happy with it. I just want to say one last thing, because this is the last question, which is the one person I haven't mentioned is my brother, Christopher, who will listen to this, and he can't play this year. He's played the last 2 years. And just in terms of preparation, he has been he's the biggest influence. Like, he's my closest friend. I talk to him every single day. I know he's gutted he can't travel to WTC this year. So I just wanted to mention him because he's been a key part of my preparation. When I'm in those low moments, which you get when you're leading a team, and you're like, oh my God, there's so much stuff that you have to juggle at once. He's the person I didn't name, but he's the person I call and say, listen, this is what's going on. And I don't think you can get through something like this if you don't have someone like that who you can turn to and just say, you just need to vent for a second and then get back in the saddle and get back to work.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's a lot on captains' heads when trying to bring the team together. A lot to think about. Terroxer, what do you think about the edition 10.5?
So I'm with Joseph here. I think there is several changes that fixed some things, and well, we just have to see how the game are, how the armies are. So you can more or less play the faction that you want, and you probably will do it properly good. So there's so much changes that help the healthy of the game, and that is perfectly fine. I feel a little bit that maybe you guys are feeling too, or maybe not, but it's like changes in how you get the points are significantly different now, and it's like the draws in the game are more common than before. So finally, this year we didn't do nothing about the difference in the points of WTC, but we will have the result of this year. But maybe we have to change this because my feeling, at least here, is the draws are too close, and it's very easy to get a 12-8 or 11-9. It's more common than before. But the rest of the game, I think, is the most healthy that never was. So it's very good.
Xandre, do you want to add anything?
Yes, I agree. Maybe that we can see single events to to be sure about this, and I think that the feelings are right. We can see in single events that there are no 2 or 3 lists dominating the scene, not at all, or 2 or 3 factions. You have factions of I don't know, maybe you have 15 winner factions now. That's
Mhm.
amazing. The number used to be 2, 3, 5, but not so many
Tops.
factions that can be played. And the other maybe indicator about this is the composition of the rosters of WTC. That in America, Poland, Germany, Spain, France, or England, we all think different ways, different approaches to the roster. I don't know if that happened in other past year. So many difference, even with a new edition. That's a good indicator.
100%, yeah. Like we said before, I totally agree. Right, I lied. There's one other thing I want to ask, and that is only, are there any social media pages we can follow your teams, and do you want to thank any sponsors or anyone like that? Okay, Joseph, by look of your face, I'm going
I'm
to start
panicking
with,
madly because
Spain.
I am the tech boomer of our team. I know we have a Discord. I couldn't tell you what the link is. Broadsword Wargaming, where is it? There. They you know, Ollie runs our largest event, and he's a streamer, and he helps support us with our stash, all of our uniforms and all of that stuff. I'm sure we have a Facebook page. I'm going to say it's Team Ireland 40K. But
I'll find it and link
I don't know the rest of the pages, so I'm sure my team are going to tell me off for not having them. But it's our Team 40K Discord is our main place.
You guessed the Facebook page, right?
Yes.
All
Like
right.
one of my coaches manages the Facebook page. I'm not on Facebook, so I'm sure he's the one that does the posts. I'm just the pretty face, which you'll all agree is pretty. I'm just the pretty face that is meant to sort of represent Team Ireland at things like this, and the smart people run the show.
Perfect. And what about Team Spain? Where can we follow Team Spain?
Well, this year one of the coaches have been focused especially in all the social media thing, and we have an Instagram, Team Spain 40K. If you look for Team Spain 40K in Google or in Instagram, you will get it. Where we have more than 1,000 followers. That's quite a lot for a team of WTC in Instagram. I think we are top 5 there at least. Now we have to be
There you go.
on the tables.
The march to top 5 started with Instagram.
Yes, and there you can follow a lot of things about us, our boot camps, pictures, and how to support the team. And I want to thank our 6 sponsors. So sorry, Joker, they are 6, but it's quite fast. This
Okay.
It's Bandua War Games. They are manufacturers of terrain of WTC. GT Talavera, this big event here in Spain. Aki Interactive. They manufacture paints and tools, hobby tools. White Whistle, they are a studio to paint, a painting studio to order new armies or units to be painted high quality. Warforge, this is a video game that the creators are from Spain as well. A cards video game in Steam or mobile, Android, etc. Very addictive, by the way. Warforge and Tika Dice. They make custom dice, and they have made our Team Spain dice that you can buy and support the team if you're listening to this.
Okay, that was quite quick though, so well done.
I want to borrow one of the sponsors.
Yeah, they've got so many, right? They could share.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You can ask for it.
That's fair. All right, guys, thank you for joining in today. It was wonderful to have you all on and to talk about Team Ireland and Team Spain. We'll be wrapping up. So once again, a massive thank you to our contactless sponsors, the Army Painter and Weyland-Yutani. Check out the links in the video description below. And if you like what we do, please like, subscribe, blah, 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 etc. And consider becoming a Patreon to make this show carry on for more episodes. We've had Joseph from Team Ireland and Xandre and Terroxer from Team Spain tonight. And we'll be seeing each other in Mechlin in 2 weeks. So very soon. And one last thing, I keep reminding myself random things. As of this recording, the Fantasy Entourage is also live. So you can get in on the fun around the WTC by filling out a Google form that's linked on the WTC Facebook page, and soon it will also be on the web page itself. We've already got 120 entries, which is totally blown my mind, and hopefully there'll be more soon, and you can get some little souvenirs if you win. Okay, now I'm done 100%. Thanks, guys, and bye-bye.
All right.